right. So again, don't want you to miss anything. I'm super excited to continue our conversation on relationships. Why? Because you guys said that you wanted it. And so we've got some great questions that we're going to attempt to answer tonight. And so I'm excited about that. And we have as our special guest, Keisha and Anthony Morris, or Anthony, I'll try to say it as their name is Anthony and Keisha Morris, right? And
Yeah.
they're coming on. Y'all say hi. They're going to just tell you a little bit about who they are. And then tonight we're going to deep dive into our conversation. Hey, Brenda. Brenda's from San Diego. Hey,
right.
Brenda. Brenda and I were on a call earlier today that was just phenomenal, wasn't it, Brenda? So it was really, really good. And then we've got Trav from Dover, Delaware, Aisha from Dover, Delaware. So yay, hey, that's right. Dover, Delaware represents. We may be the smallest state, but we know how to do it.
I hear that.
Right. I know that's
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So Anthony and Keisha, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started in our talk, our discussion about relationship. Miriam is from Florida, and every once in a while, I might interrupt and say, "Hey," because I like to recognize where people are coming from, and just say, "Hey, thank you so much for joining us." And guys, listen, if you haven't submitted questions, and while we're talking, you have a question, please feel free to submit your questions, and we'll read it. All right? Hey, Percy. Thanks for joining us. All right. So go ahead, Keisha and Tony. I call him Tony, y'all. You can too.
Well, good evening, everyone, or good morning, good day. What up? How you doing?
Where you are in the world.
I'm Keisha Morris, and I am originally from Jamaica, West Indies. I came to the United States from Jamaica when I was 3, and was in the New York, New Jersey area until I went to college. And so I went to and graduated from Howard University, and have lived in several places. So just so happens that I met my husband in Atlanta, and back in 2003, right? And then long story short, I'm sure you guys will hear about it this evening. I ended up in Delaware. So I've been in Delaware for about 15 years. I am not a native Delawarean. So I claim New York and claim New York hard. And I currently work for a pediatric hospital in the area.
well, I'm Anthony, her husband.
Yes.
We've been married for about 10 years now. I'm actually originally from Dover, Delaware. Let's see, what else would I say? I'm a chaplain and also a grief counselor, and also do some life coaching. So I graduated from Livingstone College in Salisbury, North Carolina, with a degree in biology, minor in chemistry, and a concentration in environmental science.
And he says he's not smart.
Smart. I got me a smart one.
Yeah, smart. I tell you. Georgia says, "Hey, I'm from there too," meaning she's from New York, right, Georgia? Yeah. Cool.
New York in the house.
New York, definitely New York's in the house. So I'm excited about having you guys on because I've known Keisha and Tony for several years. I knew them before they even got married.
Yeah.
And then since then have seen their journey as individuals and then together as a couple. And I just really admire. Oh, Georgia says she's from Jamaica. Oh, I didn't know that. Cool. Hey, Jamaica's in the house too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are everywhere. You're right.
Everywhere. Really, that's the truth.
And so I've just enjoyed their journey as they grew as individuals and then grew together as a couple. So we've spent many times talking to each other. I know that they they do a lot of mentoring. They coach as well, and they're always busy doing something. Just not to put them out there, they're both working on their doctorate's degree, and I'm so super excited for them. I can't wait to call them doctor, and had this long discussion yesterday about calling them doctor, but yeah, super excited. So and both of them are working on so many different things separately. pursuing what God created them to do and to be, and then doing some things together. And so that's pretty cool. And so what I'd like to pose the questions that we have, I put it out to several people. Hey, we're still talking about relationships because we're living in uncertain times. And I know that, people are hearing this all the time. And, you turn on the news, you're hearing, oh my gosh, it's just so much that it gives you a headache. And yet there's so many people that they're struggling in their relationships, not just with a spouse or a loved one, with a partner, but relationships and family with mother, daughter, son, family relationships, right? And friendships and every type of relationship there just seems to be as if there's struggles. And one of the reasons that I believe that the struggle seems to be just a little bit heightened is because of the uncertain times that we're living in, meaning that we're in the pandemic. We're in a health pandemic to where we can't go out and see each other or be around people as what we were used to. We can't have that physical touch like we used to have. And then, of course, we're in a racial pandemic as well. And there's just so many things going on. And so, and so now in some cases you're wondering, well, are they really my friend? Are they, you know what I mean? And so there's sometimes we're looking at people with eyes of suspect, right? And so you're not sure, well, they said this or they didn't say, and what did they mean? And so I just think that, and of course we've got technology, which we're texting back and forth, and we have to be so careful even with that. I know I do, because sometimes the text doesn't really say what you're saying or even how you're feeling or how, but you're just texting words. And so relationships, while we need them so much, it is so important for us to build healthy relationships and even set healthy boundaries. And so our discussion continues tonight on how do we do that? How do we build those relationships? Sometimes we're grieving a relationship that has ended, Tony, for someone because they transitioned, or a relationship that's just ended, period.
Absolutely.
And that's a grieving process as well, and so what do we do? How do we handle some of those? And so I'd like to kind of start off with that. And then hey, Nikki from California. She's from LA, right, Nikki? LA. And then I have just a couple of questions. So that's kind of like my segue into let's talk relationships. Juicy conversation. Juicy. Remember though, guys, this isn't a monologue. It's a dialogue, which means that you please give your thoughts, give your inputs, ask your questions. Don't leave us out there. And if you know that you have experienced some of what we're talking about, say, hey, that's me, that's me. That's, you're not alone. Hashtag Yana, YANA. You are not alone. Because you know what? Sometimes we just feel more comfortable. No, you know what? I feel that way sometimes too. Let's be transparent, because listen, it's in our transparency and it's in our honesty that we can really receive full healing, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So let's do this, guys. Yeah, juicy conversation. All right. So I'm going to let y'all take it away from here, and then we'll ask questions and talk. Valerie said, how do you build healthy relationships?
That's a great question. You want to take it first?
Ladies first.
How do you build healthy relationships? I think the first foundation of having a healthy relationship is to be healthy. So you have to be healthy yourself in order to have a healthy relationship. If you are finding that, we all have areas that we're kind of working on, but it's really important for me to be honest about where we are, what is it that we need, what is our expectation, and then kind of go from there. I think one of the biggest things, I know Tony and I have had several conversations about this, is to really understand what the expectations are. Like, what do you expect from me as a person? What do you expect from me as a friend? What do you expect from me, in a mentor relationship? And to really set those ground rules. That way, each person can either opt in and opt out, right? Because every relationship is a partnership. And so if you don't opt in, then it's a one-sided situation going on. And that's when it gets complicated. So, everybody has to opt in. Everyone has to be on the same page. And I really believe that not only do you have to be healthy, first of all, but then also, be honest about the expectations that you have in that relationship. So whether it's a friendship or a mentorship or, a marriage or whatever have you, it's really important to have those honest conversations up front. So both parties won't be disappointed in the end.
I love what you said. I love that you said, we've got to discuss or talk about the expectations in a relationship. And I think that is one of the factors is that, what is your expectation in this relationship? And the expectation does not necessarily mean like, this is what I expect for you to do. But if we're in a relationship, no matter what that relationship is, what is the level of your expectation? What is the level of my expectation? Let's talk about it. And can we dance? Can we dance together? Can we, meet each other's expectations? And if we can't, then we have that discussion. We have that discussion that, I can't meet that expectations. And then we go back to, okay, so if we want the relationship, right. I had someone say, well, what's the level of our friendship? Because your level for me might be here, but I really hold you here.
Right.
And so if I'm expecting you to call me every day to say hi, and you call me once a week, that could,
right.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what's the level? So that's good. And just the honesty about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's so key. It's so key. And even if someone isn't meeting your expectations, to really, first of all, look at yourself and ask yourself, hey, was this unrealistic? Is this person even capable of, going up to that level that I have designated for this to be? So, whether it's a personal relationship or a work relationship or whatever, it's really important for you first and foremost to check yourself, to be self-aware, and then be able to ask those questions. And hey, be honest about what it is that you need. If you need to be called every day because that gives you whatever, then let that person know that and allow them to either say yes or no. Yes, I can do this. No, I can't do this. So there's no miscommunication going on.
And be okay with it if they say no. And so there's several nuggets, guys, if you're listening, that she said there is that number one, that you first have to be healthy. And so you have to determine the health of yourself. Therefore, the second one, being very self-aware of who you are, and what is it that you need. And then if that person cannot meet your expectations, then you can't hold that against them because they may not be there yet, or they just can't meet it, or hey, maybe they just don't want to.
Right.
Yes. And it's okay, because I think the first thing that we have to do is first look at ourselves. So yes, we have to be very self-aware. We first have to determine what is the health of Esther. You understand what I mean? What is my health? And then what is it you're expecting of me, and what am I expecting of you? And can we do this together? Can we dance together? And that's in any, it's just like as a mother, you have your children, and you've got different relationships with each one of your children, right? Because they have different personalities. And so what I expect from my son in our relationship, I can't expect it from my daughter, because we have a different relationship. And while some things may be the same in the mother-daughter, mother-son, there's some things that are just going to be different. My son isn't going to call me every day. I can hang that up. So why even expect it?
Right.
You know what I mean? Why stress myself out? Like, he may call me once a month, and I just got to be good with it. I want to talk with him. I pick up the phone and I call him.
Right. Exactly.
And so when I realize that's just who he is, and then I'm happy with that.
Right.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. Tony, you have anything? Go ahead. Or you can continue, Keisha.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you guys, you said a lot. Oh, okay. Is this another?
No, this is just comments. I'll post comments people are saying so everybody can see it.
Well, let's see. The expectation may not be unrealistic to you, but could could it be to the person?
That's right.
Could be, yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. Very so.
Yeah, I would just say, I think key for me would be making sure you're healthy before you move in, relationship. I just think that's so big. That's so big because especially you talk about like marriage relationship, just making sure that and we're all working on things like Keisha was saying, but just making sure we're in a certain place before, coming into that relationship. And I know a big thing with me, because I kind of hang my hat on building relationships with people. I think it's really just being genuine and everything you do, making sure that people really, really know that that you're listening, that you're that you're interested in just in them, not necessarily, like I'm in the football arena a little bit. So it's not really about you on the football field. It's, how's your mother, how's your father, how's your family? How are these things? And just making sure, for me, I think that's how I'm able to build trust, because it's like, no, you have my undivided attention. You have my undivided attention. Nothing else comes before whatever you have going on. I've gone as far as to say, hey, I can, whatever I'm doing, I can just shut this down and I can be with you if that's what needs to happen. But just making sure that other person really really understands that you're serious about the relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if it's marriage or whatever, just in general, that you're serious about it, that you show up on time. You know what I mean? Like if we got a
show up on time.
Yeah, just show up on time. You know? Yeah. So yeah, but you guys said some, you guys said some good stuff, because I think another thing that I struggle with, just putting myself out there, is expectation. Like expectation I almost lost my life over expectation, in a sense. Not necessarily like I was gonna commit suicide, but I'm saying like I was in a really bad place because I had some expectations of people and they let me down. They let me down, and vice versa. I probably let some people down too. So I'm not saying that, but
listen, I'm a firm believer that my expectations are from God. And so I think that when you've set expectations on people that either they cannot meet, they don't have the capacity to meet it, that could be one, or at that time they cannot meet it for whatever the reasons may be, or that's not what they should. You understand? There could be several reasons. Then what happens is that we are let down.
Right.
You understand? If I use my son, if I expect for him to call me every day, I'm going to be a pretty sad person.
Right.
Because that's just not what he's going to do. Why? It's not because that's just not him. So now I've put something on him that's not even fair to him.
That's right. That's it.
It's not even fair to him. I don't know what his day looks like. I don't know anything. You understand? But just because he doesn't call me every day to say, hi, Mom, does not mean that he doesn't love me, that he doesn't care, or any of those things. Do you understand? And so we have to be careful of the expectations that we put on others, right? And I like to say, and even there's some expectations that's put on me or on you. You're like, wait, hold on. You don't want, because sometimes they're setting you up for failure.
Right.
And so that's what happens. So one real thing I want to share. I love watching the Golden Girls, right? Love the Golden Girls, right? Yeah, I love it. So I remember there's one particular show with Rose, where Rose says, "Oh, everybody always likes her," and so she's at this job, and there's this one guy in the cubby next to her that he just, he's not nice to her. She'll go and she'll say hi, say hello. She'll say all of these different things, and he's just not very nice to her. And so, and she says, "But why?" And he says, "I don't want to be your friend." But she says, "But why? But I'm really a nice person." He says, "I don't really care." Right. He's like, I don't care that you're a nice person. I just don't want to be your friend. That's just it. And so, but she kept going. And so he finally got fed up and said, "Okay, if I tell you I'm going to be your friend and I like you, will you leave me alone?" And she said, "Oh yeah, that would be so great." And he said, "Okay, I'll be your friend and I'll like you." And she was happy with that. But she didn't realize is that he's telling her, he just said it to get her out of his way. In other words, there was no reason. That was just who he was. And so could she accept the fact that he is just a loner? He maybe already had friends, I don't know, and he wasn't looking for another friend. And so I think that many times in relationships, we have to accept where that person is.
Absolutely.
And not just accept it, but be good with it.
Yes.
And not allow that to affect how I feel about me.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Right? Just because you and I may not, doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. All it means, just very upfront, very authentic. It's just, we just clash.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to give people a pass. Like if they can't do it, I mean, don't get me wrong, you're going to get upset, right? So let's just be honest about your feelings and your emotions. You're disappointed, you're let down. I get it. But after you deal with those emotions, because you have to deal with those emotions, it's natural to deal with emotions. It's actually encouraged for you to deal with emotions, because if you don't deal with your emotions, you'll be really bitter and angry and nasty and mean. So just deal with your emotions, whatever they are, heal from them and move on and give the person a pass. Sometimes, as you just said, people just don't have the capacity.
They don't
have the capacity. They can't do it. They thought maybe they could do it, but they just can't. So, hey, give them a pass. Okay, no worries. You can't do it. If or when you do, great. Let's talk about it. Let's see if I'm in the same place. If not, we'll just go ahead on and go about life. And it's okay. It really is okay.
It really is. Yeah, it is okay. Hey, Lakia, let us know where you're joining us from, Lakia. What state, what city? So here's the first question is codependent relationships. How do you handle, or the person said, can you speak to being in a codependent relationship, whether it's with your spouse, your partner, your children? Speak to that a bit.
Ooh, that's a good one. And now, you know what? That's a good one. And I really wish I had my phone right here. I promise you, I would go on the American Psychology Association website and define what codependency was, because I need a scientific term. But like, we've all felt that, right? We've all felt like we're really relying on somebody. We really can't move left or move right. And it happens. And I'll just confess, I was in a very codependent relationship with a best friend of mine. I mean, like, A Spoon, we rocked together. It was great, right? But I realized there came a point where I just realized this may not be healthy, because I can't move left or right. And here's the thing I want to say about codependency. When you are codependent on someone else, you can't move left, you can't move right. They really are, you just hang on to their every word. You personally cannot grow.
That's
cannot grow and you cannot develop, because you're too worried about what somebody else is going to think, what they're going to say. There's a measure of that being okay. But when you need to expand past whatever boundary, whatever box you may be in, you might have to let go of that relationship and, in the proverbial sense, spread your wings. And that's okay. It's okay to do that. And you have to recognize in and of yourself that, number one, you're codependent, and number two, you want to grow. And then number three, you make the move to do that. Is it going to be painful? Yes, because this is somebody who had a very, very, strong position in your life. It could be your mother. It could be your father. It could be anybody who you're like, I'm supposed to hang on to this person. You really probably need to examine that and really kind of figure out for yourself, where do you want your life to go? Do you want to stay right here in this place, or do you want to grow to where God may, where your destiny is? And I think, you really have to make those decisions on your own. And you really won't get out of a codependent relationship unless you make that decision. I'm a firm believer in that every move that you make requires a decision. So if you have to decide whether or not you're going to stay or you're going to go, if you're going to grow or if you're going to remain stagnant. It's a decision that you have to make.
Yeah. Type that in chat, Val. Type that in chat. Every move that you make requires a decision. That is so good and so true. Every move that you make. So Valerie, went and looked up the definition for you. So codependency is a behavioral condition in a relationship where one person enables another person's addiction, poor mental health, immaturity, irresponsibility, or underachievement. Among the core characteristics of codependency is an excessive reliance on people for approval, and a sense of identity. Boom.
Wow, Valerie, thank you for looking that up. And I'm glad you did. That is right on. That is from the American Psychological Association. So that's what they specialize in, human behavior. So if you weren't sure what codependency was, can you put that in the chat, the whole full definition? Because everybody,
there you go.
That is
the full definition. So here it is now. How do you come out of that codependency behavior? Let me just give a shout out real quick. Lakia is from Savannah, Georgia. Carol Harry is on. She's from Canada. And I'm doing a watch party. So people on the watch party, make sure you also type in any questions that you may have. And also let us know where you're from. Codependency. How do you get out of a codependent relationship? How do you maneuver through it?
You have to first recognize that you're in one.
Right.
Yeah.
If any part of that definition right there can resonate with you, then take a good hard look. And here's the other thing. If you're not sure, ask someone who is a really good friend of yours that is not afraid to give you honest feedback. Honest. And be willing to take it. Because, you know, people who really have your best interest at heart, they're going to tell you those hard things. Not because they hate you, not because they want you, cut you down. They want to see you flourish and grow. And that's the only way that you sometimes that it comes. Yeah. So embrace it.
Embrace it. And then when they tell you, they're going to use those words, that will promote you and not tear you down. As right. They're going to know how to tell. It may hurt. Sometimes it doesn't matter because the truth hurts. But sometimes it's not what we say, but how we say it. Absolutely. So as you're maneuvering through that, we don't have to go in, we could just say, hey, listen, or this is what I see happening in your relationship. And as you said, Keisha, I love that. Someone who really cares about you, they're going to tell you the truth. And then you just have to be able to be in a space to where you can receive that truth, right?
Yeah. Right. And let me also say this too. Sonia, I know you want to jump in here, so please excuse me.
I'm good. Y'all, this is good. Go ahead.
I identify as a Christian, right? So I'm just going to put that out there. Yeah. I'm not sure if everybody on here identifies as such, but I identify as a Christian. And I know sometimes for me, if I'm afraid to ask someone, i.e. my husband, give me the real on this, I'll ask the Lord.
Yeah, okay. That's right. I do too.
Can you show me what this is, where this is coming from? Am I codependent? What is really going on here? Because if there's nobody else that I could trust, it's the Lord. So, again, whatever you happen to identify as, or whoever you trust in terms of giving you that full unadulterated feedback, go and ask them. It's gonna be for your good. I promise.
That's right. Good answer. Tony, did you want to add anything before we go to the next question? I told y'all juicy conversation. Juicy questions. Juicy. Yeah. Yes.
I'm real big being self-aware and really just being honest with yourself. I think a lot of times, honestly, we know that we're codependent.
Yeah.
We know that we're not in the right place, but through whatever mechanism it is, we talk ourselves out of it, or we, what I'm saying, we do whatever to kind of, trick ourselves into believing we're not as bad as we are, just to be honest, what I mean? To be honest about it. So I think for me, really, really being able to move in that. And then another thing too is you're going to have to eat and swallow some things, swallow your pride, swallow.
Preach that, honey. Preach
swallow
that.
Swallow that pride. Yeah, swallow some things. Because I've been there in a place where, I kind of almost lost everything. And, somebody came in and kind of told me, hey, listen, the only way you're going to get out of this financial situation and being codependent and all that. He told me several things, but, you might have to eat peanut butter and jelly. You can't go out Olive Garden. I'm talking about, you know, I mean, just so I mean, so whatever it may be. I'm just saying, but I had to be open and honest and truthful with myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And then be able to receive whatever the person has to say about it.
Yeah, yeah. So I have comments here. Let me just read some. Karen Jeffcoat Ladders. Karen, where are you coming in from? Can you type what city or state? She says accountability. And on the watch party, Rashad Walker said, agreed. Always good to have an accountability partner so you can share candid conversations with. So I tell y'all, I've got an amazing accountability partner, you know, and this accountability partner, of course, is outside of my spouse because we talk. And so that's Nikki, you know, Cervantes, and we're accountability partners. And we're that person who say, okay, check me on this. You know what I mean? And so it's great. Having an accountability partner serves several purposes, guys. Okay. It provides, your accountability person should be someone that you trust, that provides a safe space for you, that will always, always, always be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right. And that person, even an accountability in everything, you know, to say, hey, this is what I'm feeling about this. What do you think about this? Hey, let's work on this, you know. And so having an accountability partner is so important. And I just think in life, and just let's say in just losing weight, get an accountability partner. To tell you, you know, you don't need to eat that cheesecake, right? Or to even say it's okay if you eat it tonight. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love what you're saying about the codependency and being honest with yourself. You know what I mean? And accountability partner. Nikki says, hey sis, you check me and my prayer partner. And prayer partner. If you don't have a prayer partner, get a prayer partner. Because that's someone as well that you, again, let's pray and let's pray about this situation together. It's a safe space. But listen, get someone that provides a safe space for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that after you and I talk, that you don't go hear it all over the place.
Yes.
You know? Or they're not judging you.
Right.
It's just how I feel about this, right? And they're not judging you, they're just listening to you, and they're your accountability. And then they'll be the one to say, well, let's pray about this together.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So yeah. So here's another question. How does family relationships influence us? Woo, family relationship. Boom, boom, boom.
This is a for you, babe.
Man, just when you said it, my mind just started going because I actually just, I would say this. I think they're the most impactful. And when I say that, I'm saying that it's something about family, man. That can take you right there. You know what I'm saying? I see you. Like you, I'm telling you, that can take you right there, man. And it's just I've just learned, and I'm still learning to just love my family the best way I can. The best way I can. We're all growing. You know what I mean? We're all learning over the way. I think at the end of the day, just being able to come back and say you're sorry or whatever it may be, you know, you don't have to always see everything eye to eye. And that's what I'm learning. You know what I mean? That's what I'm learning, to let people off, family, let them off the hook.
Let them off the hook. Let them off the hook.
This is my blood. You know, this is now I say it is different. You know, this is my blood, so I can't replace you. In a sense, you know what I mean?
We don't get to pick them. We don't get to pick our family.
Right. Exactly.
Sometimes we would like to.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. But yeah, I just tried my best to just learn to love my family through whatever we may be, and just be honest. I think for me, my best policy is no matter who in my family I'm dealing with, I'm gonna be honest. You know what I mean? And what I say or whatever. So you may have a problem with another family member, but the words that are going to come out of my mouth are just going to be honest about the situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just it. So I'm not going to favor one family member or the other or get involved. You know what I mean? So I think just honesty, man, just being truthful. And I think that goes a long ways, even in that situation. So.
And I think that too, but even with families, you have to set healthy boundaries. because, and I mean, because they're your family. Don't hold them to where they have to be like this. You know what I mean? Let them off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
Let them off the hook and let your family just be your family.
Right.
And then if you need to set healthy boundaries with your family, because sometimes, let's face it, sometimes family relationships can be somewhat toxic,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so sometimes you have to set those healthy boundaries for your own well-being, right? So you can function in life and so you can be healthy. But I think it's important that you let your family off the hook. And here it is, that whatever it is, forgive. Forgive and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive and don't hold them, don't hold them hostage.
Right.
Don't hold them hostage.
Right. You're only hurting yourself anyway. So.
What's that?
I said you're only hurting yourself
Yeah.
anyway. When you hold on, when you don't forgive, you think you're hurting that person, but you're really hurting yourself.
Yeah, and that's true.
Medically proven too. So
yeah, and then I go back to because many times you think, well, there are families, and so we have to we can set healthy boundaries. I can still love you, but I may not be able to be around you.
Right.
You understand what I mean? And that's okay. What I will do is pray for you. I don't have to agree with you.
You know what's funny? I saw this meme today. I sent it to my husband because we were having this conversation about someone who was in my life, but the relationship has changed. And so he was saying to me this morning, wow, Keisha, like you have this ability to basically pivot in relationships. Like if something doesn't really happen, I'm like, okay, pivot, we're gonna move and go over here. And he's like, I don't know how you're able to do that. And I was just like, I don't know. I'm just able to do that. But I saw this meme today and I can't remember what the first part of it said, but what it said at the end was basically, I'm able to do this because you're just not my vibe anymore. And I was like, that's so like that's exactly how I feel. Like, it's all good. I don't have any hate. There's no beef. You just not my vibe anymore. So I'm going to pivot. So that's just.
Oh, sometimes we outgrow. You understand what I mean? Sometimes we just outgrow. I hate to say, relationships.
Right.
But if you still choose to be here, and I no longer fit here, I've outgrown there. That means that I can't stay back.
Right.
Because you don't want to grow.
That's right.
Or you don't understand. I have to continue to grow. But what I do it with grace and ease, and I don't hold you hostage.
Right.
And it's just things have just shifted. I've just pivoted. But I still love you.
Yeah.
And I'm still here for you. But I just have to, I have to keep moving. I can't stay back, and sometimes that happens. Have you ever seen it to where you're in a relationship and someone is doing well and they've moved on, but you feel as if they've left you back here? And they really didn't leave you back here. It's that they wanted to grow. And what did you just say? You made the decision.
Right. To stay there. Exactly.
To stay there. Whether you made it directly or indirectly, and it has nothing to do with them. And you have to make a decision, celebrate where they're going, and then you can say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it too.
That's right.
We all have a decision. Everybody is always at choice.
That's right.
At choice, So yeah. Here's the next question. How do you, this is good. How do you mitigate? Yeah. Boundaries that forces unwanted outcomes for one party yet brings comfort to the other. So essentially, any compromise would be a sacrifice for one due to the great differences in needs and mindsets. In other words, did you guys get that? So in other words, how do you navigate through I had to set these boundaries, or I had to make this decision. And while this decision wasn't good for you, it was for me, but it was necessary to make it. How do you navigate through that?
I think you just said it. If you make a decision and if the decision is good for you, then stand on that decision. Yeah. If you've labored over that decision and you understand what the consequences are going to be, so and so is not going to like it, that person there is going to think this, after you take that all into consideration, if you still decide to make that decision, stand by your decision. may not be popular, but trailblazers are never popular. They're never understood.
I love that. Trailblazers are never popular.
They are. They always look. People always look at them like they're crazy. Think about, Steve Jobs. Think about, the Microsoft, Bill Gates. I mean, think of anybody who has done something outside of the box. People have always been like, "Why are you doing that? Like, that's dumb." And granted, there's some things that are, a little bit skeptical. But if you know that this is something that you're supposed to be doing, you have that inner passion to do that. You have that drive. You believe that this is your particular calling, then go for it. And just be okay. And here's the other piece too. Be okay with other people not being okay. You cannot be a people pleaser and going for into things that, are outside of people's sphere of comprehension. It doesn't work. You have to decide. Here we go again with that word. You have to decide what's more important to you.
Yes.
Making other people feel more comfortable, or you going and doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And you being happy. Yeah. Yeah. And here it is. Until you become comfortable with yourself or happy with you, until you see yourself as happy, how really can I really serve you? So I could say, okay, well, I need to make this decision, but you're going to be uncomfortable and I'm going to be happy. So, but I will be okay. That's the disruption. Sometimes that's what's needed, right? Because until I'm okay, until I am functioning well, how can I even show up to where I need to show up?
Yeah.
And I think many times we feel as if we've got to sacrifice, and we have, many of us, we've sacrificed ourselves so we can keep someone else happy.
Right.
And I don't think that God even requires that,
please God first. Again, if you identify with, I please God first. One of my mentors gave me this piece of advice that I still hold on to. It's been almost 15 years. She said, if you please God first, everybody else will be pleased. And I've personally taken that and with it, because there's some decisions I know people are just like, why are you making that? And if I know that I'm pleasing God, that's my ultimate accountability partner, and that's who I have to answer to, then everybody else will fall in line eventually. It may not be, right away, but eventually,
And if they don't, if it takes them a while, it's okay, because you leave everybody in choice. Yeah. Everybody, and that's what God did. He gave us all a choice to make, and you talk about, pleasing God first. I know that's something that I struggled with, and not so much with pleasing God first, but making decisions to where it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable for others. It's uncomfortable for me, but the reason why it's uncomfortable for me is because I know it's uncomfortable for others, or it's not accepted by others, or it's not understood by others. And so therefore I have that, because, okay, I'm not walking in what I've been called to walk in, because I'm trying to keep everybody happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the meantime, I'm unhappy and I am out of order, or I'm not living my life like what my book says. Is that a shameless plug for my book? I'm not living my life by design. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm living really I'm in default. I'm having default moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You really have to be okay with that. And I mean, sometimes that takes a while to build up to, but if you really want to go and pursue what God has for you, or you really want to go and pursue that thing that is unpopular, but in your heart of hearts you need to be doing that, then you have to resolve, this is the direction I'm going to go to. Yeah. This is it. And just be okay with it.
And I think that also requires a self-love, right? Yeah. Having a love for yourself. I remember, I know y'all know Bishop Holcomb that said, "Love God, love yourself, love God, and love everybody else." In other words, you can't even get to loving everybody else until first you love who? You first. Mm-hmm. You can't even get to loving God. No, I'm sorry. My husband's in the background correcting me.
I was going to say is love God, love yourself, and then love everybody.
Love God, love yourself, and love everybody else. I'm sorry. Thank you, baby. Yeah, my husband is still on bed rest, though, but he's back there supporting me.
That's not a beauty part. You like, no.
Right. Yeah. Love God, love yourself, and then you can love everybody else. But sometimes we forget about that self-love. And I think that self-love is very important to having healthy relationships, right?
Yeah. You said something earlier about, when you're making decisions, sometimes you make decisions based upon someone else, it will please somebody else. And I think that's an important point just to kind of bring to the forefront here, because if you recognize that you're making this decision to please somebody else, that's a great point of self-awareness as well as self-reflection for you to now say, what's really important here? And if what's really important to you is making that other person happy, then go for it. But if what's really important to you is that you are fulfilled and satisfied, then make a decision to reflect that.
Make a decision.
So I just wanted to that's the theme with me, right? Make a decision. But I just wanted to like that. If you recognize that you're making this decision because you're pleasing somebody else or you want to, that's a point of pause. Yeah. Pause and examine and reflect.
Yeah. Pause, examine, and reflect. That's good. Val, write that in. Pause, examine, and reflect. So we have a couple more questions, and I've got someone said, "Oh, please, can we keep going? This is so good." So let me get to we've got one more question. So why do in relationships do people give mixed feelings, and why sometimes are they just not truthful?
I'm gonna defer to you, bro.
Man,
because this is your specialty.
Why are people just not truthful?
Or they give mixed feelings in a relationship, and then why aren't they just truthful?
Yeah, I think everything we've been talking about. You want to please somebody, you want to please the other person is one of the biggest things. And you're afraid for whatever reason. You could be afraid to lose someone. You can be afraid to be seen a certain way. I know earlier on myself, I used to be afraid to say no to somebody because I thought they wouldn't, treat me the same way. If I didn't, go help them, move or something like that, then I wouldn't be their friend anymore or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think first of all, I think we struggle to be, well, I can just say, at times I think you do it, but you struggle to be honest. You know what I mean? Sometimes because of the ramifications of it, instead of just going ahead and telling somebody, I got to sit there and think, man, how is this going to affect our relationship? Can the person take it? All kinds of stuff. So, but I think it's really a culmination of everything that, we've already talked about, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does make sense that it's but I want some specifics.
Okay.
So if you've been in a relationship that you're just getting mixed feelings from, and you feel as if this person isn't being truthful, the question is, why does that happen? And so while we've kind of talked about it, going back to what we've said, is there something that this person can do? Because I can't control you, but I can control me.
Right.
Yeah, right? You have an honest conversation. And that's what you can't.
Yeah, but can you have an honest conversation?
Hey, I think you could. You set some groundwork. Listen, I think we need to really have an honest conversation. Yeah. Everything on the table. Say what you got to say. Right. No one's gonna have any hurt feelings. We need to be honest. And we talked about this earlier, creating a safe space.
Right. That's how I was about to
say. Sometimes you have to take the initiative and get ready, because you probably will hear some things that you don't want to hear, but it's necessary, it's needful. Yeah. So just having that honest conversation can go a long way.
That's even letting people off the hook, because my thing is, I can see that something's bothering you.
Yeah.
I can see that you don't feel a certain way. I can see this is, and that's okay, man. Just let me know where you're at.
Yeah.
Let me know how you feel or whatever may have you. But again, that's like letting that person off the hook. So
yeah. I have a couple of coaches. I very much believe in getting a coach, mentor, motivator, right? I definitely believe that. So one of my coaches, Lisa Nichols, and Lisa Nichols says that don't have confrontation, but have carefrontation, right? And carefrontation. And what's carefrontation? Carefrontation is basically, I'm gonna, basically start off, what I appreciate about you, what I love about you, da, da, da. And then I begin, however, this is what I need, or this is how I am feeling. And then you finish it off with what I honor about you is. In other words, you're basically you're leaving them in their dignity, but you're being honest with them about what your needs are and how you're feeling. But yeah, and then you're closing it also with, you're honoring them and saying, listen, I thank you. So if you're in, let's say a spouse, I thank you for how you're taking care of the family. I thank you for all this. You're doing so. You're such a good husband. You're such a good this. However, what I really need from you is dot, 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 dot. You know what I mean? And so you're not, and so what it does, it removes anybody's defenses from, and so many times we're so used to having confrontations, and confrontation really brings, as soon as you hear the word, it brings negativity, right?
Right.
But what's that?
I said it can. Yeah, absolutely.
It can. But if you have a carefrontation, then they hear that I care about you. I care about me. I care about our relationship and where we're going in our relationship. So let's have a carefrontation and let's talk about it. And I just really like it. I like how it sounds, and I've used it, and I find that it works because hey, can we talk about what's going on here?
Yeah, there's a term that Tony and I really like. We got it from a book by this author named Patrick Lencioni. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he wrote this book called The 5 Dysfunction of a Team, and absolutely love this book. Highly recommend for anybody who's into team dynamics. But one concept that he uses that I personally ascribe to is something called healthy and productive conflict. Mm-hmm. And so I think it really depends upon like your personality.
Yeah,
I'm a very kind of straight way type of individual. Let's just get it out on the table. Let's figure it out. But one thing I really appreciated about this book was that he kind of took the sting out of the word conflict and didn't put it in the light of it's something being negative, but rather something positive. It's something that's need to have. You need to have, a meeting of the mind, so to speak. And you need to be able to get out what it is that you want to get out and it be healthy. That's healthy. It's almost like cathartic. Let's talk about what's really bothering you. Let's talk about, the behavior that really, I'm going to use this language, pissed me off. And so now about it, let's talk about that. And then let's work through that. That's where that production comes from. And then you're going to have conflict because it's two people with two different ideologies, two different perspectives. But after we hash it out in the most respectful way we go forward together.
I love that. I love that.
Come together. We get buy-in from each other. We partner and we say we're going to move forward together. Now that may take some effort. It's going to take some tears. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's, pretty, but it's worth it because what you do in that struggle is you build a closer bond with that individual to now say, now I can go to war with you. Like I know first of all, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Number two, now, we done had it out. So, and we're still walking through this together. Yeah. You're not gonna ride or die. Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. Juliet said, that's good. What's the name of the book? Share the name of the book and Val, can you write it in? What is it called?
Functions of a Team.
What's the, I got that book.
Yeah, Patrick Lencioni.
Yeah.
He has a couple of different books, actually. The Ideal Team Player. He has a couple other ones too that are spot on. But that conflict piece is, and definitely as far as like leadership is concerned and group dynamics, conflict is really something that we need to embrace.
Or even relationships. Tony and I don't have a lot of well, sometimes we do, but every time we have a conflicting moment, we're better for it afterwards. Number one, we know that we're each other's ride or die. We're going to productive and we're gonna get it out. You know, it's not pretty in the process. And sometimes I'm like, dang it, I should have just kept my mouth shut. It would have been easier, you know, but sometimes you have to have those hard conversations. Otherwise, you guys can't move to that next place.
But see, that's all about growing. We talk about relationships, right? So it's all about growing together. It's like you're gonna hurt your spouse, man.
Yeah,
you're gonna hurt your spouse. You're gonna say something, but I'm just, you're gonna say things. You're gonna do something, and my wife will tell you, "Oh, I apologize to her in advance, man. Like I'm gonna fail you. There's something I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do something wrong.
I'm gonna make you mad now, okay? So
I'm gonna get on your nerves. I'm gonna do, But you learn each other, you grow with each other, and at the end of the day, you let each other off the hook. You know what I mean?
And there's growth in conflict, right?
Right.
There has to be. It's the tension that happens. You have to grow in conflict. That's just what happens. If you don't struggle, it's like if you go into the gym, you're gonna grow, you're gonna get stronger when you are going against the tension, the weights. You're trying to, do that, and that's what happens in conflict. And you have to have it in order to grow. Now, I like Carefrontation. I think that's good. I think that there's a place for that. But I always say don't run away from the conflict either, because
and with the Carefrontation, what it's teaching you really. It's not to run away from the conflict, but for those of us who struggle with the confrontation, this is how you can, because the bottom line is some of us can be very confrontational, and when we're done, we're leaving that person lower than they have ever been, and we boom, boom, boom. You know how we are.
Yep.
That's it.
Now,
now what? And so the Carefrontation is just really, come on, because I care. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this conflict that we're having, so we can grow together. So we can do it together. And I think for many and I've used that to where it's just kind of takes away that whole, when when I remember that, then my head don't swing as much.
I got you.
Yeah. So the conflict is not removing it. The conflict is because it's necessary. It's there, and you grow. But now, how do we discuss it?
Absolutely.
Because if I go to my husband and I got, he's like, okay, lower your voice, and then he'll immediately shut down because, it's already confrontational before you start.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
If I go in a particular way, we do it with children. We go, and when we begin to speak to children, we start a certain way. So real quick, because we've been on for quite a while, I want you, before I tell people your information and give everyone my information, give them one quick homework that they can do this week in working on give them one assignment that they can work on in their relationship. Hey, Sean.
So here's my assignment for you. Figure out your top 3 non-negotiables.
Ooh, that's good.
Your top 3 non-negotiables for your life, and really commit to holding those strong. Hold them strong in your life, so that if anything comes against them, yep, these are my top 3 non-negotiables. Like you can't touch this. So
that's excellent. Your top 3. Val, can you put that in there? So your homework, everyone, is write down your top 3 non-negotiables in your relationships, and then commit to keeping those non-negotiables, right? So, and if this is something that you're saying, in my relationships, I need to improve on this area, then make that a non-negotiable. In my relationship, I need to make a non-negotiable to have that Carefrontation. Let's say Sean says, I love this. This can be used in many platforms, Carefrontation. In other words, I know I'm one that can get it said, boom, boom, boom. Now, let me flip that around and let me have a non-negotiable that I'm going to work on in how I speak to when I'm concerned to that person that's giving me the mixed emotions, or I know they're lying. So, how can I talk to them?
Right.
So that's great. Your 3 non-negotiables. So that's your homework. And if you get a chance, if you remember, go ahead and post it in the chat and or post it in the Facebook group and say, hey, these are my non-negotiables, right? So write down your 3 non-negotiables, but don't just write it down. Work on them. You know, actually put your non-negotiables into action. So Sean and Keisha, tell us how we can reach you. Val, if you can put in their Facebook, their handles, as they say. Tony has I said Sean and Keisha. I'm so sorry. I've just matched you up with somebody else. Keisha and Tony. Sorry, Sean. Sorry about that. Words to live by. Figure out your 3 top negotiable and commit to those. Awesomeness. That's what Sean said.
Okay.
So Tony has. Tell us the name, Tony.
Holding Your Tears.
Holding Your Tears. Yeah.
What is it, babe?
Yes, it's my grief practice. Just recently opened up, so we just serve people who are going through grief, crisis, and loss.
Yeah.
You know, as we were already talking about, just creating a safe place where people can really share and get healed, and really to really just sum it up in one sentence, it would be that it's really in our humanness and in our brokenness that we're able to find strength to heal.
Yes, so true, so true. In our humanness and our brokenness. So guys, if you're going through any type of grief and you need to talk in a safe space, trust me, I've talked to Tony. It's a safe space. Connect with him. And so Val, if you can put his website on there, that would be great. And then Keisha.
So I'm just launching my company here. It's called Bloom, and it's a growth solutions company, and we specialize in personal and professional development. So we help the individual as well as organizations and churches really grow using coaching techniques as well as training and development opportunities, and also strategic planning. So my website is on the way, but I do have a landing page. You can go to plantbloomflourish.com, plantbloomflourish.com, and you can leave your email, and when we actually launch, and I'll tell you all about all the great things that we have in store. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for coming on. Val, don't just take out the bio, and I just want you to put their website. Put Tony's and just put hers, just the website, so I can put it to show it, and then people can write it down. And then, of course, guys, I just thank you so much. Tony and Keisha, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I told you it's going to be juicy conversation. I know that everyone is going to want you back, so plan on being invited back. But listen, everyone, join me again next Sunday. Monday night at 8:30. It's been a long week, and today's just Monday, okay? So on Monday evenings at 8:30 for our Facebook Live. Next week, we will be having some more juicy conversations. I've got a few guests to come on to talk about why, the importance of stepping into purpose. And hey, do you know, what is your purpose? Do you know? So let's talk about purpose and what you're doing and how you're pivoting in this time. So join me. And so listen, I've got some giveaways. I will be speaking at Susie Carter's Business Summit on this weekend. The Business Summit is the 25th to 27th. Woo! And Susie is my my business coach, and she is phenomenal. And I'm honored that she would ask me to speak there. I'm speaking about God's plan for you and just really motivating you to get started. But if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a mompreneur, if you're a parallelpreneur, you are trying to figure out how to start your business and get your side hustle and all that, you need to find out about how do I do social media and all of those different things. This is all going to be discussed at the Big Money Summit, Big Money Business Summit. How do you do social media? How do you increase your followers? And all of that will be handled. And I've got some books to give you as a gift. And of course, in Keisha and Tony, I will be giving one to you guys just for coming on. You will be able to get into the Big Money Business Summit, which is I believe a $1,997. If you were actually having to go to San Diego, that's how much you would pay. Online, it was decreased a bit, the virtual piece, but it's still at very high value. And if you are interested, I want to see at least one of your I want to see all three of your non-negotiables. So I want you to DM me, right? Direct message on Facebook, your non-negotiable. And that will let me know and the actions you're going to take. And I will gladly present you with her book, Power Your Profits, which, by the way, is a phenomenal book that will take you step by step in building your business from wherever you are. Susie has built several multi-million-dollar businesses, right? So they call her the profit coach, and that's the reason why. She's helped companies, entrepreneur take their companies to Wall Street. All right. So I just want to encourage you. Hey, listen, she's really helped me, and if she didn't, I wouldn't even be telling you about it, right? So DM me, and I only have a few. I believe I've got about 6. I just told her I need it, so I want to see your non-negotiable. But I want you to be serious, and I want to make sure that you will show up at the Big Money Business Summit. All right. So, and Val, is that it? Join me on Facebook. Val's got all of my information there. Get my book, y'all. Why Stepping into Purpose? Get my book. It is a phenomenal book, not because I wrote it, but because everyone says it has been and how it's just changed their life, right? So Val's got up susiecarter.com. Is that the link for her summit and to find out about her? So get on there. You're going to get to hear all kinds of special guests. Take care. Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right,
Take care, guys.
God bless you. Thank you guys for hanging in there with us for so long.